Hi, everyone. Welcome to this afternoon session or this morning session about how Nasuni tackles a multi-cloud GTM model. My name is Paul Horn, and I am responsible for Nasuni's Global Cloud Alliances organization. And my team manages the partnerships that we drive with Microsoft, AWS, and with Google Cloud as well on a global basis across Nasuni, day in and day out. We are owning this model. We're driving it, and we're making sure that we're getting everything out of it that we possibly can. And during this session, I want to give you a little sneak peek into how we do it, and possibly get some ideas flowing about what could work in your organization. Maybe we'll discuss a couple of best practices as well. And then the other thing I just wanted to mention as well is that if you have any questions throughout this session, please feel free to put those into the chat window, and we'll get to those at the end of the presentation. We'll leave a couple minutes of time. So again, thank you for attending today, and hopefully this topic is interesting to you and will be of value to your organization. So first and foremost, let's talk about Nasuni's multi-cloud journey. So it didn't start with all three of those big cloud providers at once. We started one at a time. And so in 2009, we formed our Microsoft partnership. And we grew that partnership. We expanded it fully in 2013. We actually were awarded Microsoft's Partner of the Year award in 2017. And then in 2019, I actually joined the company and drove that partnership for 3 years through a major growth opportunity. And then in 2015, we started our partnership with AWS. And we grew that, and actually to the point where we actually received a Partner of the Year award for 2020 for driving technical innovation and joint execution. And in 2020, we actually adjusted our model, and we added some resources. And so we've actually been growing that partnership for the past 3 years as well, which has been outstanding. In addition to that, we listened to market feedback. And in 2021, we were hearing enough feedback from our customers that they wanted a Google Cloud option as well. And so we built that model out. We established a partnership with Google Cloud, and we are actually currently in year 3 of that partnership and continuing to grow. So, that's the big lesson. If you catch nothing else in this session, is don't do all 3 of them at once. Try and kind of stand them up one at a time. But having said all that, in order to drive these partnerships, you really need to have a solid technical foundation. And so you can't just walk in and say, hey, let's figure out how we go sell this together in market. Let's figure out, what is the technical challenge that you're solving? What's the use case that you're going to drive that is not possible with each of these cloud providers' own solutions today, right? How are you going to fill that gap? And then furthermore, how are you going to take that and drive the customer value proposition out to the market, right? It's got to be compelling, right? If it's not game changing enough, you'll get some traction, but it's not going to really get that scale that we're all looking for across all of our businesses. So customer value, very compelling. That's going to be key. And then, the great thing is that once you get one partnership, right, it starts kind of feeding itself, right? You build relationships out. You're driving the co-sell motion together, and we found that it actually has kind of created a flywheel for us, right? And so we'll build a customer base, and every single year, customer needs to renew their subscription to Nasuni, and every single year we walk in carrying an opportunity on a silver platter to a partner, an alliance partner sales rep, and that creates further conversations around other accounts. How do we go do this in another account? And that's definitely has opened doors for us as well. And the theme with each one of these, right, is it doesn't happen overnight. Okay, so it takes some time that you need to invest in this. You might start something. Let's say you're looking to start something with Microsoft, kick it off in July with their new fiscal year. It could be 12 months till you see that return. Be patient, right? Consistent in your execution. And quite frankly, if you take a sales-led approach with that technology foundation, right, you get the rest of the business behind it, which we'll talk about in a second. That can really, drive success much more quickly, but it does take time. And the other thing I'll say here, and I think people often take this for granted, but we treat our customers like gold. We love our customers. They're the reason we're here. The excitement that we see from them, the value that we're able to drive with them, it just it speaks volumes to what we're able to go do, and it creates the energy for us, especially within Nasuni. But you got to treat your cloud partners like your customers, right? And take their calls, be responsive, go out and really look at what you can bring to them in addition to what you're able to drive across their customers as well. So one of the big things that I talk about with my team is the four pillars of our go-to-market strategy. And look, if you went out online and you looked up, what's a go-to-market strategy, what are the key areas of go-to-market strategy, you're going to get 50 different things. But in our business, we really narrowed it down to these four areas. So number one is sales. You've got to have sales leading the charge, and that's where you're going to drive the biggest impact in your business, and create that true co-sell motion. I can't stress the importance here is that, if you've got an organization that is, national or global, sometimes it's challenging to build those local relationships, but make those investments, spend that time, and then create the kind of, teach your local sales teams how to fish, essentially, is what I highly recommend. And those are the models that we've seen have worked the best. And that way you're able to go and spin up multiple regions at one time, drive relationships, drive the co-sell motion, and you're not, as a go-to-market lead or an alliance leader, you're not having to really dig in one area over another. The second pillar is marketing, right? Sales and marketing go hand in hand, but at the end of the day, that co-marketing, driving incremental pipeline across your business is key. And one of the unique things that we do at Nasuni is we actually have a program that we call Hearts and Minds, where we are actually marketing to our alliance salespeople, right, to make sure that they're aware of what we do. That's one of the challenges we run into is quite frankly making sure that they know that we're here, that we are a solid partner, that we bring real business to the table, and that we generate pipeline for and with them. And so marketing helps us do that in addition to driving the pipeline across the customer base. The third pillar is product. Okay, getting alignment around that tech foundation, right? And some organizations might put this at number one, right? It's got to happen, or else you're not going to have that kind of that four-legged stool and the foundation for a GTM strategy for us. Whether that's just leveraging a particular solution in one of the cloud providers, or that's actually doing some real integration work to bring the solutions together and to productize it. We actually have a best practice of multiple times a year. We have product roadmap sessions so that all of our alliance partners are aligned on what we do, how we do it, the direction we're going, and we expect the same from them. And it creates a really strong, product-based, solution-based, technology-based partnership. And the last piece is executive alignment. And this piece is something that, again, also can be overlooked. But if you can create alignment across your organization into executives at the major cloud providers, when a shift change occurs, right? Typically at the start of a new fiscal year, for example, Microsoft is coming up in July. We just saw the new years for AWS and Google Cloud in January. Programs change, models change, and if you have executive buy-in in your organization to go and adjust your model to support and get behind the model that the cloud providers are rolling out, that's going to go a long way as well. So creating executive sponsorships, escalation paths, right? So something go awry is definitely something that we found has been very impactful. And I would be remiss if I didn't include the very last piece of this. I know it's not one of the four pillars, but it goes across every part of the business, is marketplace. This is the direction that all of the cloud providers are going. And so I highly recommend, and we're looking at this as well as an opportunity, is making marketplace a part of every single solution, right? From a product perspective, deploying from marketplace, executive alignment, getting readouts on marketplace, making it part of your sales rhythm of the business that you drive. Marketing, leveraging it for intelligence around which customers are coming in and looking at your offering, right? And driving it as a call to action through your marketing campaigns. And obviously the sales one is the where it makes the most sense. And that is transacting through marketplace, right? And making it easier, creating a streamlined approach for your transaction. Now, all that is nice. And that's kind of what we view as kind of our strategy and the pillars that we move forward with. But you have to measure it. At the end of the day, if you're not able to measure the impact that you're driving, the growth that you're driving across the business, it gets very challenging to continue to justify the investments in building out these cloud, multi-cloud GTM models. So we look at pipeline growth across our organization, right, where we're able to show influence. It's very difficult to track influence, but you bring a lot of different pieces of the equation together, and you can usually get a good view on, whether you've got meetings that were held with a particular account rep. You went into a same meeting together. Maybe it was sourced through a joint event that you did, whatever that is. Capture every detail that you possibly can in order to understand where you're truly seeing influence and double down where you're seeing success. Engagement. We look at everything from joint solution development through productization of stuff that's in the Nasuni solution stack, and pushing that out into our different cloud partners. But also having champions and executive sponsors aligned, right? Making sure that you've got quarterly meetings. Maybe you're driving QBRs with specific key executive sponsors as well. And then obviously co-selling and co-marketing also are under the engagement piece. That's a little more nebulous, tougher to track, but definitely worth keeping an eye on what's working, what's not. And at the end of the day, it all comes down to revenue growth, right? Looking at the partner scorecard, how does the Microsoft, AWS, Google Clouds of the world measure you as a partner? What do you impact for their business? Then you look at how the revenue that you're capturing as a partner of those companies, how that's impacting your business, what kind of growth you're seeing, what you're driving through marketplace, whether you're measuring it through annual recurring revenue or monthly recurring revenue or total contract value, whatever it is. At the end of the day, the big message here is that each cloud partner is different. They're going to have different metrics, different things that are important for them that they look for. And just keep that in mind, that it's very difficult to have kind of that spread peanut butter approach across measuring each cloud provider. And so we found that we have different metrics that we hold for each one, and that has actually really helped to kind of differentiate and make sure that we're continuing to add value for that cloud provider, but also capturing as much value as we can at Nasuni. I know we've only got about 5 minutes left, and again, I want to make sure we have some time for any questions that may come up. But some best practices that we've captured. At the end of the day, right? This is not easy to do, and like I said, start one at a time. Don't roll out a whole GTM model across multiple partners at the same time. However, we have found that there are similar processes and approaches that we take with each one, right? So things like leveraging Tackle.io as an example, right? To be able to transact on marketplace. And we've created some processes that are the same for each one. And that helps from a finance perspective on standardizing the workflow, right? Especially around marketplace. From a sales perspective, right? We've got, a rhythm that we drive where we want to see, partner interaction at the sales level. And so we were able to really standardize that. But at the end of the day, we have a mantra that is, we need our sales reps and sales managers to be the CEOs of their territory, right? So we have a saying in Nasuni, everyone owns partnerships. And so while our team might foster something or create something, at the end of the day, we are looking for our sales teams to drive that and, kind of help with the care and feeding to keep that going. Marketing. I can't stress this one enough. Get creative. All the stuff we did 10 years ago is not landing the way it used to land, quite frankly. And, do something different, right? And if you find something that works, do that 10 more times and drive drive that out and really prove out that that's going to be a good model for you to run through. And again, I mentioned this on the last slide, each partnership is different, but simplify it where you can, embrace the differences, capitalize on all of them. So a couple of key takeaways, and that's, just look at your bandwidth and ability to drive a multi-cloud GTM model. You can do 1 or 2 things really well. You can do 10 things not so well. So really, focus and spend the time to make this happen. Consider your technology dependencies, right? So there's opportunities where there might be a product gap in a cloud provider, or you might be dependent on a cloud provider solution, and align to that, right? And really double down on that. Again, I mentioned standardize where possible, right? Like a great example of this is using Tackle.io for marketplace deals. Embrace that unique approach for each partner. capture the unique value proposition that each cloud provider and customer are driving. And by the way, you'll find use cases you didn't even know about, right? Talk with your customers, understand how they're using they're using your solution today, and where they want to take your solution in the future. And by the way, you might find a great intersect with a cloud provider solution that you hadn't even thought of. And so listen to your customers and then bring that feedback back into the partnership. And this is the biggest one, right? I mean, we all have numbers that we're driving towards within our own businesses. But the second that you take a look at your cloud partners' numbers on how they want to hold you accountable to drive a certain commitment across their business, and you put the focus on that month in and month out, it goes an incredibly long way towards gaining trust. I can tell you personally, prior to joining Nasuni, I was a partner manager at Microsoft for several years, and the partners that looked at my business and understood what I was trying to show as an impact that they were driving within Microsoft, I mean, it changed the game, right? And it made my job so much easier, and I was able to actually go spend more time with them to help really build out the business. So the big question is, at Nasuni, how do we know that our multi-cloud go-to-market model is working? Well, you can see the metrics on the right side. We've got a 45% conversion rate when we're working with an alliance partner, Google's, the Microsofts, AWS's of the world. That's huge. We know we've got tremendous success there. We've seen in the past 3 years, 500% growth across our partnerships. And that's just, again, proving it out that the model truly actually is working. We've done tens of millions of dollars in marketplace transactions over the past few years. We expect that number to grow pretty significantly as marketplace continues to be front and center with our cloud partners. And here's an interesting one. Keep track of when you bring a deal to a partner and when they bring a deal to you. And at the end of the day, it's great to get that 50-50, but if you're able to show that you're bringing more value to them, and our model is we bring about 75% consistently deals to the table with our partners, they bring about 25% to us. We love it that they bring deals to us. If we can get the 50, great, but capture that, right? And that's a great metric to walk in with and say, hey, we know we're bringing a lot of value to your business. How can we do more? And how can we get this closer to 50-50? They love those kind of conversations. But at the end of the day, these are just a couple of measurements that we use across our business. Every business will be a little different, but we've seen some incredible success with our multi-cloud go-to-market model. Again, it's not easy, but definitely I highly recommend it where it makes sense for your business, and you won't go wrong with really driving a strong co-sell motion and a strong go-to-market with your cloud providers. So with that, I appreciate the time. I know we've got 1 minute left. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy to take them at this time. And I appreciate you all joining in, listening in. See a couple comments on everyone loving partnerships. Yes, everyone is in on partnerships. Good. Get creative. Definitely down there. 100%. Change it up, right? At the end of the day, the only constant is change, as they say. So thanks again, everyone. I think we're out of time, and I appreciate it. And hopefully we'll see you out there in the rest of the sessions and on social media. Take care, everyone.